bakers, I have the biggest news ever for you. I have written my very first Bigger Bolder Baking cookbook, and it's available for pre-order right now. In my book, you will find over 100 recipes featuring my bold twists on cookies, cakes, ice creams, and so much more. The Bigger Bolder Baking cookbook features recipes that I grew up with and those that I invented and perfected while traveling the world as a professional chef. Nearly every recipe calls for less than 10 simple ingredients and makes use of everyday kitchen tools. And that's actually how the book is organized, broken up into chapters such as wooden spoon and bowl, rolling pin, and even no oven needed. Now you can bring home over 100 of my brand new, never before seen recipes and bold classics. So here's what I need you to do. Head over to biggerbolderbaking.com/cookbook and pre-order my first book right now. I need your help in making my first book the biggest baking book of 2019 by pre-ordering your copy today. So right now I'm giving you an exclusive preview into my book, and I'm going to share with you my recipe for Caramelized Banana Tarte Tatin. So for tarte tatin, we have to start out with our pastry. This is my foolproof puff pastry and it's in the book. You can also use store-bought puff pastry and that will work really well too. So what you want to do is just flour your surface and roll out your pastry until it's around 1/4 of an inch thick. You do want it nice and thick for a good base. So you'll see in the book, it's full of great tips. One of my tips is get yourself a ruler for the kitchen. They're really inexpensive and you use them all the time. You want to just measure your pastry 10 by 10 inches and then also the thickness of it to make sure that yours turns out the exact same as mine. So this is exactly the thickness that I want, and I actually don't need to trim it, so I get to use all of my pastry. For right now, I'm just going to pop it onto a baking tray and then I'm going to pop this into the fridge while we get started on our bananas. So our pastry's in the fridge, getting nice and chill. Here I have a cast iron pan. This is 10 inches. Now I've put this over kind of a medium-low heat and let it heat up. When it gets nice and warm, into our cast iron pan, we are going to add in our butter and our brown sugar. Now what we're doing here is creating a caramel, and this is going to be the sauce for our tarte tatin. Absolutely incredible. Now you want to let that caramel form a little bit. This is where we're going to get a lot of our flavor. Once it starts to bubble, we're going to add in our sliced banana. Now, as you can see, I like to make my banana nice and thick, so around 1 inch thick. And this just makes sure that when it cooks down, it doesn't disintegrate. You still have a nice big chunk of banana. So very carefully, because remember, this is caramel, lay your bananas face down. Now, if you need a few more bananas, if you see little gaps, feel free to squeeze some in there, because you do want this mix to be nice and tight. This is amazing. Like, I can smell the caramel already. The bananas are starting to cook. This is fantastic. So I'm just going to give this 2 to 3 minutes to simmer here. Let the bananas get nice and caramelized on that one side, and then we're going to add on our pastry. So I can tell my caramel's got a lovely color, and the other side of the bananas are exactly the way that I want them. So I'm just going to remove it from the heat. So gently lay your pastry all over your bananas. And then with your fingertips, just go on the pastry, give it a little bit of a push down, make sure that the bananas are nice and snug underneath there. And if your pastry is overlapping, that is totally fine. That just gives us extra pastry to work with. Then lastly, before we pop it into the oven, I have a knife. And what you want to do is just poke a few holes in the top to let out steam. So now straight away with this dessert, you want to get it into a nice hot oven. Bake your tarte tatin off at 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius for roughly 25 minutes or until lovely golden brown. So it was my goal to make my cookbook something that you could treasure at home. Not only do we put a lot of work into the recipes, but also into the food photography. So I know when you get this book and flip through it, you're going to love it as much as I do. So check out this bad boy. This is what we're looking for. We want to get the pastry a lovely golden brown because that means underneath the bananas are really lovely and caramelized. This is fantastic. So it stopped bubbling and it's cooled down a little bit, but don't let it go cold because while it's still warm, you want to turn it out onto its serving platter. I've put back on my oven gloves. Be very careful when you're doing this and ask for help if you need it. And then very swiftly, we are going to flip the whole thing over. Okay, perfect. So far it's looking good. I'm going to remove the skillet carefully and check that out. A gorgeous caramelized banana tarte tatin. Absolutely amazing. I'm just blown away with how beautiful this looks. So because this is a little bit of a rustic dessert, I'm gonna go ahead and serve the vanilla ice cream directly on top. Look at that. So when you make this dessert, it's best eaten straight out of the oven. So of course, being the taste tester, I'm gonna cut myself a nice big slice. This deserves an extra happy dance. Banana and caramel are like best buddies, vanilla ice cream and then pastry on top. It's buttery and flaky. This is a really impressive dessert for minimal effort. So as amazing as this dessert is, there are 100 more just like it in my brand new cookbook. So head over to biggerbolderbaking.com/cookbook and pre-order your copy today. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you back here really soon for more Bigger, Bolder Baking.